Have you thought about selling your home and then buying a new home at the same time? Well, stick around. I'm going to take you through 5 tips of how to navigate through buying and selling a home at the same time and make it a positive experience for you. That's coming up next. Stick around. What's up, everybody? It's Matt Allen here with the Allen team. I hope you're having a great day today. I am your source for everything real estate here in the Central Florida area. And if you haven't already done so, if you could click on that subscribe button, leave me some comments below. Let me know what you think of our videos. We're putting them out every week, and we would love the feedback on how we're doing. Today's topic is buying and selling a house at the same time. Is that even possible? And even if it is it something you really want to do? And today I'm here to tell you it's very possible. It can be stressful if it's not done correctly. And today we're going to cover 5 tips on how to do it correctly and lessen the amount of stress that you're going through during that process. It's something that can be done in the market we're in right now, which is a heavy seller's market. It can be a little tricky, but if you follow these 5 tips, you should have no problem getting through it. We just did one about 2 weeks ago, and it went through just fine. So without further ado, here's tip number 1. The most important part of the whole process of buying and selling a house at the same time is going to sound a little difficult and hard to swallow. But it's really the component of putting your house on the market first without even having a house to go to. And that's the thing that I think a large portion of people in the United States right now are having a hard time with. They're afraid to put their house on the market because they have nothing to go to. And that is what I think is holding a lot of people back from buying a house, because the inventory is so small. So it's kind of working against each other. But you have to get that house on the market to have any shot of buying something that's going to come available and producing a contract or an offer that a seller is willing to even look at. So step number 1, tip number 1, make sure your house is on the market, and even if better, it's under contract. I know that sounds even scarier, but if it is under contract, it makes the process a little easier when you go to buy something. Now, when you're going through this process, it's extremely important to understand what I like to call the chain of title. And this is your second tip. You need to understand, does the buyer of your home have a home they need to sell? Is there a contingency for the sale of their house? Is the house that you're buying, does that seller need to sell or need to find another house to move to? So it's your realtor's job, my job, to understand and explain to you the chain of title. Because if there's no chain except for yourself, meaning that the seller doesn't need to move into another house, maybe they're downsizing, maybe they're going to rent, something like that. And on the buy side of your house, if the buyer doesn't have a house, maybe he's renting or she's renting and wanting to buy their first house, that makes things a ton easier because you're the only one that's going to need to move from one house to another house. It only gets trickier when one or both sides or all 3 of you need to sell at the same time. It's still possible, but sometimes that can get a little bit tricky. I can't say this enough, you guys. Number 3 tip is communication. You've got to communicate with all parties involved to make sure that there's a clear understanding and that you're not trying to hide anything about the sale of their house or the sale of your house and the buy of the other house. If you're trying to hide that, that is never going to happen, and it's going to make for a very difficult situation. So make sure everybody is in the know and that they understand the process going forward. Sometimes that can be the nail in the coffin, as I'd like to say, when you're putting an offer in. You really need that contingency for the sale of your house, even if it's for a short time. I wouldn't risk doing this process without it unless you have a contingency plan of buying this new house without selling yours. So keep that in mind. Keep everybody on the know. make sure that you guys have enough time to get through this whole process. In other words, if you are selling your house and trying to sell it in 30 days or 25 days to a cash buyer and buy your next house in 25 to 35 days, I can tell you right now from lots of experience, that's putting you in a pressure cooker situation where not only is the stress going to be high, the chance for something to go seriously wrong dramatically increases. I always say if you're going to buy and sell a house at the same time, make sure there's at least 45, even longer days to get it done. Now, again, that may affect you with what you're trying to purchase because most sellers right now want a quick close. So if you're telling them not only you have to sell a house, but you'd also like 45 days, sometimes that's going to take away from the strength of your offer. However, if you were to check this video here, we talk about a lot of ways to overcome that strategy and make sure your houses or your contracts are the best possible ones they can be. The next tip I have for you guys is probably your most important tip, and this comes from lots of experience with buying and selling a house at the same time, not only personally, and I've done it myself, but also representing both buyers and sellers in the situation, is have a contingency plan. Make sure you have something in place in case something is delayed. Make sure there's adequate communication of that delay to all parties, the lenders, the title company. Make sure everybody's on the same page as far as what that delay is or what that issue is and how we're going to solve it. Very important, have a contingency plan. If you need to store your stuff an extra few days, make sure you've planned for that. How are you going to do that? The worst thing that can happen is something comes up and you're in a situation where you're like, I don't know what to do. And then, that's when we say the transaction is starting to turn sideways, and we never like that. Trust me. All right, bonus tip time, you guys. This is my last tip for you, and I think it's a good one. It's an option if you feel this whole process of buying and selling a house at the same time is just going to be way too stressful for you. This is an alternative to that, and that is selling your house and buying. Are you ready for this? Buying new construction. It's a great option for you, especially in this market right now. I can't stress enough a lot of the advantages that are going on with new construction to allow you the time. A lot of new builders are going to allow you to have a contingency for the sale of your house. And those contingencies usually are pretty long. So you've got a lot of time to be able to sell your house and get ready for that new house. So keep new construction in mind. I have another video which I'll post up above so you can take a look at some of the other advantages you have to new construction. And hopefully these tips are helpful for you. If you have any questions, as always, drop them down below. If you have any other questions or you want more information about buying and selling a house at the same time, I'm doing it right now, so I've got a wealth of knowledge and I've done it many times in the past. Drop me a line, give us a call, give me an email, whatever works for you. Thanks again, you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye-bye.